and welcome this evening. I hope all of you are doing well. And this is Dr. Brenda Roach, but you can call me Brenda because it's just much easier. And this is a series that I've been doing. This is week 8, believe it or not, of a series about taking your life back. And if you are just tuning in to this series and want to get access to all of the other lives and not have to try and search for those, hey Barry, glad you're tuning in. Just tag me down below and I'll go back and tag you in all of the other weeks of this series so you don't have to try and find them in Facebook land as well. And so we're really talking about how to take your life back. Hey Kay, glad you're joining me. And we're going to let a couple more people join in here and then I'll get started. But again, it's a series about taking your life back and prioritizing and looking at what your priorities are. So we've been spending a lot of time talking about that. And last week, hey Terry, glad you joined me. Last week we talked about listing your current priorities. And so your assignment, hey Keith, glad you joined me. And so last week we talked about your assignment is to list all of your current priorities from the week before, where you did kind of a time study and kind of saw what you were spending your time on. And you were to take that list and put the top 7 things that you spent most of your time on, because that really identified your current priorities. Whether those are the priorities you want or not is a different story, but those are your current priorities and how you were actually spending your time. And there was a bunch of questions that you needed to go through and answer, and then you were to take that and really take an afternoon to spend time on talking about and figuring out what your new priorities were. And we're going to take that list and work from that tonight. So if you haven't completed that, again, or you haven't been part of this series from the beginning, tag me down below in the comment section, and I'd be glad to go back and tag you from week 1 all the way through this week so that you will know kind of what we're talking about and get caught up on all the homework that you're doing as well. So I hope you're really putting this into practice. I know I am working through this at the same time that we're walking through this. Hey Amanda, glad you joined me. And so last week when you looked at what your new priorities were and really identified what those were, we want to take those in the top 7 of what your current priorities really are and what you want them to be. So your new priorities, and make an absolute yes list. And I'm going to have this after this live is done. I am going to put all of this information in a form basically that you can download to kind of work through this in the next week as well. So don't feel like you have to write everything down because I will put it down below in the comment section so you can download it as well. But what you're going to do again is you're going to take those your new priorities that you identified over this last week, hey Skylar, and make a top 7 list. So the top 7 things that you really want in your absolute yes list, which is your new priorities in life. And then I want you to think about, does that really excite you once you make that list? You know, will it really inspire you to kind of shift your focus on what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and maybe give attention to those things a little bit more? Once you have that list developed, which is your absolute yes list, we are going to go back to old school and you're going to get some 3x5 cards. You're going to write that list down, your top 7 absolute yes lists, where your new priorities are. Hey, Brittany, glad you're joining. And you're going to put those on 3x5 index cards. And you're going to put those out so that they're in, plain view. So maybe in your appointment book, if you still use one of those, on your bathroom mirror, on your dashboard of your car, so that you're always looking at that and looking at the decisions you're making in the moment. Are those decisions that will match up with your absolute yes list? Or are they taking you, again, further away from it? So are you saying yes to things that maybe you don't need to say yes to because they're going to take up more of your time and pull you away from your absolute yes list? So again, you want to be able to be very crystal clear on what your yes list is. And then we're going to work into over this today and next week talking about how to honor that new list and your new priorities. So your absolute yes list. How do we honor that? How can we put that into action? And there's 3 things that you can do in order to put this priority list and really honor it. So the first one we're going to talk about tonight, and the next 2 we're going to talk about next week. And so the first one is bring your priorities into everyday life. The second one is learning to say no, which has been a really, really hard one for me in my life to do, but I'm getting better at it. I'm not perfect at it. I'm not perfect at anything. And I don't know anyone that is, but I'm getting better at it because I've been making it a priority to really look at my life as I'm working through this as well. And then the last one is scheduling time for your life. We often schedule time for everyone else's life and all the other tasks and really don't put into play actually scheduling time for ourselves and to meet our priorities. Hey, Libby, glad you're joining me. And so tonight, after you've gone through and you've made your list of your absolute yes list of your current priorities that you really want to accomplish in life, you put them on 3x5 cards, then you're going to start putting it into action. And the one we're talking about tonight is how to bring those priorities into everyday action. So it really is starting to shift the way, you think about how you spend your time. Instead of trying to fit in activities to reflect your current and priorities while your plate is full, look for ways to enhance your existing life with them. So, for example, if yes is one of your absolute yes list, so one of your priorities is to have more fun. Look at your day-to-day activities that you're doing and try and figure out how can I put more fun into the things I'm already doing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at doing that. Or maybe you have some financial goals that are on your new priority list. And so how can you look at those with every decision you make throughout the week and day? And so it's really looking at how you can take those priorities that you have and start working towards those. Now, there's going to be priorities that you have and things that you want to accomplish that aren't going to happen overnight, right? And so, maybe you have some financial goals. You have obligations, so you can't just click your fingers and be done with it. Hey, Lola, glad you joined me. So some of them are going to take time. But if you look at it each day and we look at how we can do steps each day in order to try and reach towards our absolute yes list, then you're going to get closer and closer. Some things you're going to be able to accomplish much faster, and other things are going to take more time. Some things might take a year or two to get to where you're at, but if you don't start, you're never going to get there. So that's the key, and that's why we're working through these things. Again, if you're just tuning in, my name is Dr. Brenda Roach, but you can call me Brenda because it's just much easier. And if you want to get all of the other parts of this series and you have not been able to tune into those, just tag me down in the comments and I'll go back and tag those for you so you don't have to try and locate those in Facebook land. Because we're really working through how to set better priorities and look at our priorities in our life. So what you're going to do is for this week, you're going to make that absolute yes list. And then you're going to look at how you'll bring those priorities into your everyday life. So reviewing your absolute yes list, I want you to write 3 examples of how you can put those things, your absolute yes list priorities, into your daily activities that you're already doing. So again, fun is a great example. If you want more fun, what are things you can do in your day-to-day life to have more fun? Or maybe it's spending time with family. Well, how can you do that and still accomplish the things that you're doing? And maybe it's inviting kids and families along, doing things you're already having to do right now until you can completely prioritize differently. So I want you to come up with 3 ways that you can incorporate some of your current priority list, your new yes list, into your daily activities. If you're struggling with that, just message me and I'd be glad to, help you with that and figuring out some ways to do that because it's really important to kind of look at that. So that really is the one thing we're going to work on this week. Next week, we're going to talk about how to say no. And again, that one is a really hard one for me. And I've had to really work at it, and I work at that actually every day. We'll talk about that next week. And then the other one is scheduling time for your life and how to actually schedule that in. And so those are the 2 topics that we're going to be going into next week as well. And so I hope that you will tune in. And again, if you're catching this by replay, put #replay down below. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're catching it live, let me know if this is helpful or not for you. Give me some loves. Let me know if you completed your assignment from last week. And if you haven't, make a commitment to yourself that you'll get that done this week. And again, If you need me to tag you in the different beginning of this series, let me know that down below as well, and I'll go back and tag you as soon as we're done with this. I will be putting a form down below that you can use that has all of the information in that I've talked about this evening, so you can print that out and work through all of the different assignments that I gave you today. And I really look forward to continuing this series next week with all of you. If you think this could be helpful for other people you know, please feel free to share it as well. So I hope you have a great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. And I will be back here next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And we're going to be continuing to talk about our absolute yes list and how to honor our new priorities. And the two topics, hey Rhonda, glad you're joining me. The two topics next week that we're going to cover are how to say no, so that you can really honor your absolute yes list, as well as scheduling time in your life. So again, I hope you go back and catch this from the beginning, and I hope you have a great evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. Thanks so much.